All right. Welcome to this week's press conference with head coach Eric Peterson. South Dakota travels to Kansas City this week before heading up to Brookings for the Interstate Series first meeting with South Dakota State on Saturday. With that, we'll start with opening comments from Coach and then jump into media questions from there. Go ahead, Coach.
Yeah, up and down week. A couple plays away from making it a really, really good week. Poor first halves against both teams. Just out of the gate, we were flat. And, obviously got it corrected against Oral Roberts and North Dakota State. Got it corrected, but just a little bit too late. We play well in the first half, or we're semi-competitive in the first half, and we're probably looking at a different result. So North Dakota State's a really good team. Two very different opponents this past week. And, we're learning, we're growing, we're getting better. You can clearly see that. And I'm excited about this week and what we have ahead of us.
Trey, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, how's it going?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Good. On Saturday, you went to halftime down 14 against the top-ranked team in the Summit League in NDSU and still found a way to force overtime. Kind of what did you see from your group in that second half, especially that allowed them to climb back into that game that you kind of hope to see as the season continues here?
Yeah, the opposite of what we were doing in the first half. A lot of turnovers. We were 1 for 2 from the free throw line, so we shot 2 free throws. And I think that tells you a lot about your team. We didn't fight for paint touches, and paint touches is one of the biggest keys offensively in basketball. And then you go in the second half, and you're 17 of 19 from the free throw line. So we clearly made an effort to get in the paint and be more aggressive, and we call it being in attack mode. And we just took care of the ball. And I think, our defense was better. We figured some stuff out. We defended them differently. We put our 5-man on their 4 and just kind of put them in the paint. And, their 5s can shoot it. So what we were trying to do is just guard them with guards and then double them. So a little bit different of a game plan. I thought we really adjusted in the second half, and we were better in the second half defensively. Obviously holding them to 35 points. But, when you're better defensively, sometimes it's not right, but you play better offensively. You have more juice. You're getting stops. You're doing some good things, and all of a sudden the offense starts coming too. So, I would say just the exact opposite of what we were doing in the first half. We're down 39-25 and not playing very well. And, proud of our guys for the second half. But like I said, if, we come out with any grit and toughness in the first half, we're probably getting a different result.
Yeah, kind of what did that performance on Saturday say to you about this team's resilience and belief with one another, even though it ultimately ended in an overtime loss there?
Yeah, I would say if you watched us, there's not one game where we've just cashed it in and given up or folded. Everybody's here for a reason. They want to win. They love USD. They're very prideful of our team. The guys that we picked up at semester are winners, and they've proven that. So to add a couple guys that are proven winners to the mix obviously really helps our chemistry. We still have some good players, right? We're getting some guys back. We got Jake back a couple weeks ago. We got Vince back this past week. So we're getting a little bit more healthy. There's obviously some guys that are not coming back, but to be able to have 9 guys that you can play, I think really helps. And I think our chemistry is really good. And, for me to be able to go at those guys at halftime, Oral Roberts, they responded at halftime. NDSU, they responded at halftime. And, I'm excited when we do put 2 halves together. We're going to be hard to beat.
Yeah, and Cameron, Jordan, and Uzziah combined for 74 of teams, 84 points in that one as well. What stood out to you about the way those 3 carried the offensive load and stepped up in bigger roles and are going to seemingly continue to have to do that moving forward too?
Yeah, I think ever since Isaac went out, those 3 guys know what their roles should be. And I think the guys around them really understand that they can be a star in their role. And, first of all, I think our entire team knows the ball should go in the post to Cam when we can get it in there. Both teams did a decent job defending him. Oral Roberts did an awesome job defending him. I thought in the first half against North Dakota State, part of the reason why we weren't very aggressive was because we were just trying to throw the ball to Cam, and they were really loading up on the backside, and it just slowed down our offense. We just weren't moving. We were just standing looking for him to be open, and he wasn't open. So when that happens, when you take away a guy like Cam, then there's other options that have to be open. And Jordan has 33 points, hit 7 threes, and Uzi had 25. and I thought he played great as well. So, those three guys, we're going to have to really ride them out this year and, make sure we're doing our practices correctly so those guys can play a lot of minutes. Uzi with 44, Jordan with 43, Cam with 33 in an overtime games. So we know we have to depend on those guys, and they have to be fresh and they have to be healthy. But I think everybody in our team knows their role and who the ball should go to.
Yeah, you've had to rely on a lot of different players this season because of injuries. How have you been able to maybe get meaningful production from almost everyone on the roster, especially from guys who maybe not have expected to lean on this heavily before the season started?
Yeah, I think it starts in practice. We have a really good staff, and I think the expectations are laid at practice on what we're trying to do each week and what their role should be. And I think it takes a lot of buy-in from guys to truly understand that. And then, when you have some guys like Cam, Jordan, and Uzi, and then the rest of the team just plays their tail off and competes. We call it Gator basketball, get after their butts. I think when you emphasize that and you practice like that, it does translate to games. And we're not fully there yet, but we got guys that are competitive, that want to compete, that have won, and, they honestly really care about each other. And when you do that and you're more focused, on the full process of how things work and how you win, I think it translates to the court.
And Kev, what has that process been like for you as a coach? Balancing developing for the future while also needing those players that kind of contribute right now with an unfortunate injury right now.
Can you say that again? You were kind of muffled at the end. I couldn't hear the last part.
Yeah, kind of what has that process been like for you as a coach? Trying to balance developing for the future while also needing those players to contribute right now under the unfortunate injuries.
Yeah, I mean, I would say I'm not really looking at the future right now. I think when you're in the moment and you really focus on what we're trying to do each week, it prepares you for 2 weeks from now, a month from now, a year from now. So, it's about getting better every single week. It's about adding a couple things to our offense and maybe tweaking a couple things on our defense each week to try to make it better so that we're playing really well in March. But with what's happened, it's definitely made me a better coach. No question. I look at things differently. There's a lot less room for error in every single game. Every game is going to be tough leading into this week with UMKC in South Dakota State. So, obviously you got to be super focused as the head coach. You have to have a plan every single day, and obviously I have, but it's just it's made me a much better coach and made me obviously look at things and tweak a few things.
Yeah, last one for me. We had UMKC on Wednesday, obviously. Kind of what challenges do they present, and what will be key for your team to handle both the matchup and find a way to win on the road here?
Yeah, our mindset and getting off to a good start. UMKC is much better at home. They play really hard. Taking care of the ball, we've been really up and down with that. Oral Roberts, I thought we did a great job taking care of the ball. So it's been kind of game to game for us, but we got to get more consistent with that. It obviously helps our defense when we're not giving them direct points and having catastrophic turnovers. They're a very good rebounding team, and they're very good in transition. So, like the goal last time we played, and that wasn't too many games ago, was getting back on defense and then guarding their actions and then rebounding. If we can do those things, we'll have a chance. It's always scary. Going down there, we haven't won down there yet since I've been here, but just how hard they play, their athleticism, they seem to have a different gear at home, and they've struggled this year, and obviously they're going through a lot of adversity, with the coaching change and everything that comes with that. So our guys are going to have to be really focused because they're going to be extremely hungry, and given our situation, we're never just going to be able to show up and win a game.
Awesome. Thanks, Coach.
Thank you.
James, go ahead.
Coach, you're about a month into what I guess you call the new normal, going from the fast-paced offense and defense to trying to slow it down. And you have a team that was recruited to play fast. How they and you adjusted to this new pace?
Well, it's different for me, very difficult for me. I think they're believing in it and they're executing it, and you can clearly see that. We've had to become maybe a little bit more of a heavy set team where we run different plays each possession. And I've always thought that basketball should be played where it's more free and loose and open, where you can recruit good players and just kind of let them be good players. And you got to control the game a little bit more given our situation. And I think when you have some talent, especially a good post player, it's probably a little bit easier to do, where we can always relieve pressure, or if we need a bucket, try to throw it in there to Cam, because that's obviously a good shot. He leads the Summit League in field goal percentage. But it's been different, and I think, adding a couple new players that have played like that, I think really helped. Silas has been tremendous for us. His assist to turnover ratio has been great. Obviously, against North Dakota State, 3 turnovers, really uncharacteristic of him. He's done a great job taking care of the ball. So it's been a change. When we started pressing, I left every practice like pulling my hair out, like, man, what are we doing? We're not going to be very good. It was a bad feeling every single day leaving practice because it was so sloppy, because we were forcing turnovers, and it taught us to take care of the ball. Last year we were number 1 in the country and not turning it over. To going back to a slower pace, and then I would leave practice, same thing, like, man, this is crazy. What are we doing? But we had no other choice, so we had to be all in on it. I think just having Cam is an upperclassman, Jordan's an upperclassman, Uzi's been really good as a freshman point guard, and then you add some other guys around them. I think they've handled it well, and we have some mature guys on our team.
All right. Unless you got more, James?
No, I'm good.
All right. I think that's everything, Coach.
Thank you, guys. Go Yotes.